The crowd would hold their breath when I'd start singing, and I could feel it. Oh, that's not the guy. This isn't the guy I usually see. After a few lines of this and that, I could see them telling themselves, it's going to be okay. Do you know? It was great to feel worried and then realize, okay, this is going to be okay. We will trust you with this. Okay, maybe. There will still be a lot of people who say no, Glenn, no Eagles, you know. That's okay. Enjoy your stay on our channel again. Vince Gill is a very good artist. Stepped into the world of the Eagles after the sad death of Glenn Frey, who helped start the band and was its soul. But did you know that this honor comes after a long journey full of highs, lows, and secrets that have been kept? It's not just a band, the Eagles are a timeless symbol of music. Each note tells the story of a whole age. What was so exciting about Vince Gill's journey? In this shocking and moving story, the problems, struggles, and feelings that lie behind the stage will be shown. Feel free to leave a comment if you like Vince Gill. Then come along as we talk about his past and future, starting with his journey with the Eagles. Vince Gill is a famous country music singer who is now a part of the band Eagles. His life story is full of emotion, ups and downs, and turns you didn't see coming. From the time he was a child playing his grandmother's guitar to now, when he has 22 Grammy Awards and is on famous stages, his story is not just about music, it's also about strength and unwavering love. Vince Gill was born in Norman, Oklahoma, on April 12, 1957. He grew up in a home where music was more than just a hobby, it was life. Stan Gill was his father and was a great artist who could play the banjo and guitar. Geron was his mother and often sang and played the harmonica. Every room in their house was filled with music, which became Vince's first for ideas. The first guitar he played wasn't a fancy one, it was an old one that belonged to his grandma. That's how he learned to play Old Shep when he was only 5 years old. When Vince was a kid, he would often bring his guitar to school and play catchy songs like The House of the Rising Sun for his friends. These little events set the stage for a lifelong love of music. Vince started to play other instruments like the fiddle, banjo, mandolin, and bass guitar when he was a teenager. He formed the band Mountain Smoke to play the bluegrass music he loved so much, and his natural ability quickly showed. But his journey wasn't all smooth. Mountain Smoke opened for the hard rock band Kiss, which is a moment I will never forget from that time. Their gentle bluegrass style didn't go over well with the crowd, who threw things and booed. Vince didn't give up in the middle of the chaos. Instead, he raised his middle finger and walked off the stage with rebellious confidence. This was the first sign of the strong character that would define his career. It was clear that Vince was talented. He joined the band Pure Prairie League in 1978 after leaving Mountain Smoke. His career took its first big turn at this point. Vince not only sang lead on hits like Let Me Love You Tonight, but he also started writing songs that were all his own. He slowly became known as a very talented person in the music business. Vince was brave and faced many challenges when he decided to go solo in 1984. At first, he signed with RCA Records and put out a few records. Even though these things got him some attention, his work hadn't really taken off yet. He signed with MCAA Nashville in 1989 and put out the album When I Call Your Name. This changed everything. This song was not only a big hit, but it was also a turning point that made Vince Gill one of the biggest stars in country music. Not only did songs like When I Call Your Name do well on the charts, they also got good reviews, which won Vince his first Grammy Award. Over the course of the 1990s, Vince kept putting out popular albums, such as I Still Believe in You, which was certified 5 times platinum. He won an amazing 22 Grammy Awards, which is a record for male country singers. His warm voice, heartfelt songwriting, and masterful guitar skills made him a star. Vince Gill's story is more than just a tale of ability and success, it's also a lesson in how to get through tough times. But how does a musician with such a long and interesting career start fresh as a part of one of the most famous bands in history? The Eagles. The next part of this story will tell you everything. Vince Gill's journey, joining an Eagles team that was trying to work out a problem. During the 2017 season, Vince Gill was going about his normal day when he got a call from the famous Eagles manager Irving Azoff. The authoritative person on the other end of the line said, "Vince, we want you to join the Eagles." Not only was it an offer, but it was also a huge responsibility to fill the void left by the band's late co-founder and essential lead singer, Glenn Frey. Glenn Frey was a very famous musician and a big part of the Eagles' history. His hits like Hotel California and Take It Easy will always be remembered. Not only did his absence leave a hole in the music, it also caused problems in the way the band worked together. Before they broke up, the Eagles were more than just a rock band. They were living heroes with millions of fans all over the world. This offer put Vince in a tough spot because he had to deal with the huge expectations of fans while also easing long-standing tensions within a band that was already full of them. As soon as Vince said yes, he felt the weight of Glenn's heritage. Not only was it hard to fill Glenn's shoes, but there were also problems within the band. The Eagles were a complicated team with a lot of strong personalities and a long history of fights. Don Henley was the group's brains and the last co-founder. He was known for being a strict boss who expected perfection in every step of their creative process. Joe Walsh, who was the exact opposite of her, brought a wild and impulsive energy to practices that caused problems. Most of the time, Timothy B. Schmidt, who was the quietest member, was the go-between, but even he couldn't always ease the pressures that had built up over decades. Vince walked into this chaos as a newbie. Longtime members didn't like him because even though he was very talented, he was a stranger. Every idea he put forward was looked at very carefully. During one practice, Vince offered a new way to play the band's most famous song, Hotel California. His idea caused a lot of debate right away. Don Henley fought hard for the song's originality, and Joe Walsh backed Vince's creative vision. The argument got hot, and Vince, who was stuck between the two sides, felt like he was being sucked into a storm that he couldn't escape. The disagreements went beyond differences in creativity. A rough pass for the band cast a long shadow over Vince. One of the most famous fights in Eagles history was when former guitarist Don Felder sued, saying that Henley and Glenn Frey had unfairly fired him so they could keep all the money from their reunion shows. The band's reputation was badly hurt by the years-long legal fight, which also left deep wounds in their relationships. By joining the band, Vince not only had to deal with the present problems, but he also had to deal with problems from the past that hadn't been solved. From the outside, court battles over Hotel California added to the stress. Glenn Frey and Don Henley wrote the song's original lyrics, which were smuggled into a prison and became the subject of a shocking case. Vince wasn't personally involved in the scandal, but it made him think of the complicated and difficult legacy he had become a part of. With tensions inside and attention from the outside, Vince started to feel alone. He wasn't sure if he really belonged with the Eagles, but when Don Henley, who was usually very tough, found himself suddenly open, he asked Vince to have a private talk. In a private setting, Henley admitted that his strictness often made other people feel under pressure. He also made it clear that asking Vince to join was never meant to replace Glenn Frey. It was about the Eagles starting a new era. In spite of their differences, Henley told Vince that everyone in the band had the same goal to continue the music tradition they had built. This sincere talk not only made Vince feel good about himself, but it also helped him believe in his own worth again. Vince understood that disagreements within a famous band were not problems, but rather a normal part of the creative process. He made the choice to stay, both to honor Glenn Frey's memory and to help the Eagles build a new future. After that, Vince worked on using music to connect with the other members. He kept showing that he wasn't just a player, he was an important part of the Eagles' next step. Over time, people started to like his creative ideas, and practices turned into times for the band to try new things. Vince didn't just stay because he felt pressured to, he did it to show his loyalty to the Eagles, no matter how hard the road ahead might be. The Eagles were having problems that seemed impossible to solve, but they were able to find balance again. Vince was a big part of bringing the band together and helping them move on from the bad things in the past to a better future. Vince Gill made important services to the Eagles. Vince Gill brought more than just great singing and guitar skills to the Eagles when he joined. He also brought a new outlook that gave the band's music new life. The spirit of old songs like Hotel California and Peaceful Easy Feeling was kept, but they were given a more modern edge by Vince's unique mix of country and rock elements. Vince added a gentle strength to each tune, drawing on his deep roots in country music. This emphasized the unique qualities that have made the Eagles famous for more than 50 years. As the Eagles continued to grow, Sphere in Las Vegas was a big step forward. It was the first time that cutting-edge technology and great music came together to make an art experience like no other. Sphere wasn't just a place to see performances, it was a three-dimensional room where people could be immersed in a world of new sounds and images. Fans were taken on a one-of-a-kind musical journey by the Eagles' famous hits, which they not only heard but also felt in a deep, lively way. Hotel California turned into a dramatic experience that took listeners on a journey through mysterious desert roads lit by flickering lights, creating a feeling of spooky wonder. On the other hand, Peaceful Easy Feeling evoked peace through pictures of an endless starry sky, which emphasized the song's peaceful mood. Notably, Witchy Woman took viewers into a magical forest full of strange images, creating an enticing and captivating atmosphere. Vince Gill was a big part of making these shows at Sphere better. With his refined musical sense and artistic vision, he helped shape these versions, keeping the soul of the original songs while adding new parts. By using both strategies, the Eagles were able to keep their longtime fans and attract new ones. The shows at Sphere were more than just concerts, they were emotional journeys where fans of all kinds, from longtime fans to newcomers, could connect. People's ideas about the Eagles changed when they combined cutting-edge technology with classic talent. They broke the idea that their music was only from the past. Vince Gill made efforts that went beyond being in the band. He helped the Eagles connect their exciting past with their bright future. The success of the Sphere shows not only showed that the band is still popular, but it also showed that they could change with the times. With Vince, the Eagles' journey went beyond their heritage and pushed the limits. What's so great about Vince's approach to the Eagles' music is that he can respect their legacy while leaving his own mark. Instead of changing what the songs were about, he worked on making small but meaningful changes. For instance, Vince added deeper tones and smoother transitions to Witchy Woman, which made the song feel even more haunting and strange. This method changed a well-known standard into a completely new experience without changing what made it special. Vince told the Eagles to try out new arrangements and ideas in addition to making their music sound better. With a calm and relaxed tone, he added delicate country elements, making a version that was both familiar and new. This made longtime fans happy, and also brought in new listeners who were fascinated by Vince's unique take on the Eagles' sound. Vince also put a lot of stress on how well the band could harmonize. an important part of their music. His signature tenor voice gave their group singing more balance and depth, making enchanting harmonies that gave each performance a lively, refined feel. Songs like Take It to the Limit and Tequila Sunrise showed how well Vince's voice blended with the other band members, making it clear that he wasn't just a replacement but a great addition to the new phase. With his amazing guitar skills, Vince helped change the Eagles' sound even more. Shows in real life. His leads in Hotel California and Lion Eyes were a delicate mix of classic rock and emotional country. Vince did not copy the original solos, instead, he added his own version. He kept the song's spirit while giving them new energy that always amazed the crowds. Every show Vince Gill did wasn't just a gig. It was a transcendent musical trip that let fans remember good times while hearing the songs in a whole new way. During the Sphere tour, this was especially clear. Technology didn't get in the way of the music, instead, it made it more immersive. The Eagles were able to respect their past while also looking to the future thanks to Vince's creative vision and musical skill. Vince had an effect on the Eagles that went beyond the music. He changed the band's spirit and stylistic direction. He showed that being innovative doesn't mean getting rid of the past, but adding to it by giving it more value in a new setting. His work not only brought the Eagles' old hits back to life, but it also made sure that the band would continue to be heard around the world. Vince Gill has shown that he is more than just a replacement in the band's most recent story. He's a leader who shapes the Eagles' future while keeping the soul that made them famous. Different Eagles fans had different emotions when Vince Gill first joined the team. A lot of people, especially die-hard fans from the band's best years, were skeptical. A lot of people on boards and social media said, "The Eagles will never be the same." Some people thought Glenn Frey's death had left an unfillable hole. It was risky and even controversial to choose a country singer like Vince for this job. The first shows with Vince were closely watched and praised for their technical brilliance. For many fans, any change in the band's lineup made them feel a lot of different things. On top of that, the legal issues involving the Hotel California manuscript made the story even more difficult to follow. Questions were raised about the Eagles' honesty after disagreements over who owned the song's original drafts and claims that they were sold illegally. A legacy. At this point, Vince's addition was seen by some as an unwanted change that put more pressure on him. But Vince Gill slowly put these questions to rest over time. He decided to respond with actions instead of words, giving his all to every performance and note he played on stage with his soft voice. Because Vince was so humble and had amazing guitar skills, he started to win over even the toughest critics. Fans realized that he wasn't trying to take Glenn Frey's place, but rather was helping to keep the band's history alive and bring it back to life. Some longtime fans changed their minds and started to accept Vince's music. At the same time, a new group of listeners became interested in his unique mix of classic rock and subtle country influences. The biggest sign of this acceptance was the long applause and sing-alongs during famous songs like Hotel California and Tequila Sunrise. It was clear that Vince had earned his place among the Eagles. The audience's response, which went from doubts at first to admiration later, shows how powerful ability and sincerity can be. Vince not only won the respect of his friends, but also the hearts of millions of fans all over the world. With Vince Gill, the Eagles have begun a new and important chapter in their long and successful past. With Vince on board, the Eagles have continued to shine on some of the biggest stages in the world. One of their most famous shows was at Sphere in Las Vegas, where cutting-edge technology and classic music come together to create a one-of-a-kind experience. Eagles songs like Hotel California and Peaceful Easy Feeling are not only kept alive, but also remade in ways that appeal to both old and new fans. The band's unity was once threatened by Don Felder's famous case, but now those fights are like scars that remind them of the problems they overcame. Don Henley, Joe Walsh, Timothy B. Schmidt, and Vince Gill are just a few of the members who have helped protect and build the Eagles' heritage. They have been able to stay together because they both love music and are dedicated, allowing them to get past their differences and keep putting on shows that amaze millions of people around the world. The Eagles aren't going to rest on their laurels when they look ahead. The band stays true to their goal of passing on their songs to new generations and inspiring them. Not only did they get a lot of great new talent in Vince Gill, but they also got more creative, which opens the door to some exciting new projects. Notably, the Eagles have revealed that they will be staying at Sphere in Las Vegas longer. They will be adding 4 more shows on April 4th, 5, 11, and 12, 2025, bringing their total number of shows at the venue to 32. What do you think about Vince Gill's amazing journey and the Eagles' amazing comeback? Have you felt the fresh energy they bring to the stage? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to click subscribe to get more inspiring stories about music stars. If you like the Eagles, don't miss the chance to see them perform one last time on their famous farewell tour, which will likely last until 2025. As the Eagles end a musical trip that has lasted more than 50 years, this is a moment to remember. Not only are these concerts musical events, they are also highly emotional ones where you can get lost in timeless melodies and see a legendary band at their peak. Get your tickets now so you don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime chance to be a part of a truly unique event in music history.